Hey everyone, we're going to get started here in just a second. So while we wait, feel free to start putting questions in Q&A, but we'll get started here in a few more seconds. Also, if you can hear me okay, please put that in the Q&A as well, so we can confirm that at least someone can hear me. Thanks. All right, got confirmation of audio. That's always a good thing. All right, let me get this thing going here. Da-da-da-da. All right, hello everyone. I'm gonna get this thing started. Just one sec. Okay. Da-da-da. All right, yeah, so we'll get this thing started. And yes, we are recording. The link you used to join just now will be the same link you can use to come back and see the recording later. But we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Ricardo Wilkins with Microsoft, your customer success manager for Teams and modern workplace in general, what we would call modern workplace, which is Office 365 and things like that. And today we're doing part two of a two-session live event experience here this week. We talked on Monday where we gave an overview of Teams, talked about chat. Hopefully everyone was able to attend that, and we can just roll right into the second part here. If you weren't able to attend, probably best to check that recording later. In the 30 minutes we have, we don't really have a lot of time to kind of recap those pieces. So today we'll talk about the basics of having a meeting in Teams, as well as how to collaborate on files in Teams. So that's kind of what we'll be going through today. Okay. So with that said, let's just really dive right in. Let me do a couple things here, and let me check the Q&A. So just looking at the Q&A, can a group calendar be added to a channel, or are you only able to have an individual calendar? So in general, there is a calendar for your team. It's not really one that Teams really exposes. If you're familiar with Office 365 groups, it's that same calendar that you would have used there. The calendar that Teams shows, as we'll see in a sec as I switch over to my demo environment, is really showing your own personal calendar, and it will show the meetings that you have from your team. And you can kind of, if you can see this tiny little box here, it kind of lets me know that this is what we would call a channel meeting for that particular team. But yeah, it's not really necessarily showing the group calendar, and so the full integration into the calendar experience is just really not quite there yet. So Outlook is still your friend for that. But yes, there is a group calendar. SharePoint has calendars, and you have your own Outlook calendar as well. And then one more question here. So for this live event, there is no number to call in. This is you're only viewing through the web. You don't have to worry about muting yourself. I can't hear you. I can only interact with you through Q&A. So there's no number to call in for this. There are meetings for Teams, which we're about to see, and we'll talk about that, but not for this live event training session. And then lastly, I found that when doing screen share during presentations and flipping between windows, attendees are stuck at the first window. I've got to stop sharing and then reshare for each window change. Flipping between windows. Well, you do have to stop sharing and reshare every time. Well, it shouldn't be every time something on your window changes, but if you want to show a different thing, a different window, you do have to stop and then share the new window. One way around that is just to show your full desktop, and then they just see anything that's going on your screen. So maybe hopefully that gets at what the question you're having. Yeah, and yes, okay, yeah, I see some other questions. We'll get to those in a sec. But let's jump in here to the demo environment, and we're going to talk about, start off with the basics of doing a meeting in Teams. And where I want to start first with that is with Outlook, just to kind of show, I know many of you are coming from Skype for Business, and maybe used to doing meetings there. Just want to show you that it's just as easy to fire up a new meeting in Teams as it is Skype. Basically, you probably right now have, if you're enabled for Teams, have both buttons side by side. So new Teams meeting will essentially put, as you would expect, bring this up and put the join information right there in the email for you. So everyone will certainly have this join Microsoft Teams meeting link where anybody can click in and join through their desktop and so forth and so on. What you may or may not have, again, I can't remember if you've been enabled for it yet. I know it's coming and rolling out agency by agency, is the integrated phone number. I think you do have that, and so that is the number that someone can call in if they can't for some reason join through the web. So that's what and that happens for you automatically as well. So you don't really have to do anything there. One pro tip, I guess I'd say to this, certainly if you are in front of your PC or your phone and got the mobile app or the desktop app installed, or even just internet in the browser, this is going to give you the full experience. You can do your audio, video, everything else. The phone number certainly is for someone who either just wants to call in or can't join via web. The other scenario, though, could be sometimes, yes, I'm in front of a PC, I've got internet, but maybe my microphone or my machine isn't working well or isn't working at all. Then calling in to that number in addition to clicking this could be a useful scenario. So you can be in, on both. I could be in with the first link and also in on the phone number. You definitely want to make sure that your PC or whatever your other device is muted, so that the audio is only coming from your phone, so you don't get any echo or your show echo to the room. But that is a viable scenario. So again, or maybe it's even just more convenient for you to call in and use your Bluetooth that's already connected to your phone or something like that. So you can be in both. So this is certainly just in case someone can't join the other one, but it can also be a convenience for someone who wants the best of both worlds, right? The audio through their phone and everything else through their PC. So hopefully that makes sense. That's the integrated number and the meeting link. So that's from an Outlook perspective. So yeah, very easy to fire up a meeting in Outlook. But when it comes to Teams, how do we make a meeting in Teams? There's several ways. I'll just talk about some of them are a bit more basic ones. So you can see I clicked on the calendar on the side here. That shows me my calendar, my meetings. And up at the top, we got a couple buttons. So starting here with new meeting, this is basically where I want to schedule some meeting for the future, right? Typical interface. Oops, let's see here. So it looks like I may have been on mute for a while there. Hopefully you can hear me now. Maybe you can put something in there to say say that you can hear me, but it looks like somehow I put myself on mute there. With that being said, let me quickly go back to at least talking through some of these controls here. Not really sure how long I was on mute. Sorry about that. So again, controlling our video, controlling our mute button, which apparently I need practice on, is there. Sharing our desktop or our windows, and sharing a PowerPoint. And then I will skip this button for a sec and come here to chat. This is where we can have chats that kind of complement what we're doing in the team. Yes, we're already talking, with audio, but maybe I want to put a hyperlink or some other kind of information here on the side. And then the last one, show participants. So this is where we would see everyone that's in the meeting. The most useful aspect of that is that for everyone in the meeting, there's going to be a mute button on the side for them. That means that you can mute someone else. They can bring themselves off of mute, but let's say someone's on and there's some background noise, but maybe they're not aware. You can mute them yourself, and then when they're ready to talk, they can come off mute. If there were more people in this meeting that I'm in right now, there would actually also be a mute all button for us to kind of make that convenient to just mute everyone in one click. So that's what that piece would be for. The third, the one in the middle, 3 dots, the most interesting piece here would be one, what you don't see is the blur background, which you should have, and I think that comes up if it would come up for me if I had a webcam and we're trying to show video. But you should have blur background, which does as it sounds, shows my face clear, but everything behind me is blurred. And then start recording. You can record meetings. They get stored right to stream. And people can watch them later. That's great if you're like double booked on and need to be able to watch the meeting later. And the last one is especially important, I think, for us as remote workers these days, is turn off incoming video. What that means is, so yes, there's 20 of us in the room. Yes, we're all showing our high def video, but maybe my network looks like it's struggling. I turn off incoming video. I'm still broadcasting my video to you. You're still broadcasting your video to me. It's just that Teams stops trying to show all the 19 people's videos to help save, on my network bandwidth. So that may come in useful again if it feels like everybody's video suddenly choppy or something like that. Maybe you're having a network issue and turning off the incoming video could be helpful there. So that's the experience when you're in this meeting. Again, not knowing how long I was on mute. Again, there will be 4 people here, faces showing in this Brady Bunch style, soon to be 9 at some point. The other people in the meeting will be little thumbnails down at the bottom, and whoever's talking is who shows up here in the top. What another useful feature for that, let's say no matter who's talking, you really want to focus on maybe a particular person, you can, if I have more people in here, right click on the person or hover over it and you'll see a pin participant that pins their feed, whether it's audio or their video, to the Brady Bunch square, right? And so no matter whether they're talking or not, they'll stay up on the screen. And if you did it just for one person, that person would go full screen kind of, while everyone else stays as a thumbnail. And you can switch back between maybe if somebody's broadcast or sharing their screen versus video. So that pin participant feature is nice. Again, that won't be in this area. It'll be if you hover over the person, that's where you'll see it. So hopefully that helps. And I'm gonna go ahead and hang up from this. And again, real quick, in case I was on mute, I was in the calendar area. This first button is for scheduling a meeting for the future. This one is for firing one up right now, and I'll add my participants later. Okay. There is a third option if we go into a team of actually doing what we would call a channel meeting. The reason we call it that, as you can see here, the meeting itself, it gets displayed in the channel. So even if I'm not specifically invited, I am aware of it because it's right there in the channel. Any chats that we have during that meeting show up here. If the meeting gets recorded, it would show up here. So it's really just in context, and it's a easy way to create a meeting that blasts to everyone in the team automatically without you having to specifically do it for any particular person. Okay, so that's the channel meeting. So those are the 3 types of meetings to have there. I'm just trying to think if I'm remembering anything else that it might have been on mute when I said it. So yeah, I'm seeing the comments about the no sound. Sorry about that. So we'll go through here. I'm looking for questions here. Just seeing default for cameras being active. I think the default would be camera off. I think so usually your camera would be off when you start up a new meeting. So that's the meeting experience. Let's jump to now that we've kind of understood a meeting. What about outside of the meeting when we are working with files? Okay, so let's come here. We're in this particular team. Let's actually make it. Let's go into the general channel here. Every channel has its own files tab. The thought being you're going to store files related to that channel in this area. To me, that's nice. It helps you get out of the business of coming up with some elaborate set of folders related to your team, and folder hierarchy. Keep it simple. If it's the business taxes and licenses, if it's related to that, you just put it in the business taxes and licenses files area. You can certainly still make new folders here, but you certainly also have the option of just kind of keeping this flat and just saying, hey, all of our files are gonna go in here. It's your choice. But this is the files area. So the beauty of this is that my files are here in Teams, and without having to leave Teams, I can go up and and view any particular document I need. In addition to viewing it, I also get to see chat related to it as well. So this is always kind of tied to the document as long as we're in Teams. Chat is also great because as opposed to today where I need some help with this document, so I fire up Outlook, I fire up a new email, I put Nestor's name on it. Hey, Nestor, can you help me with this doc? I find a way to put a link to the doc in the email, all this good stuff just to get him to help me. In the Teams world, I just mention Nestor, help me. And I don't even have to say help me about what, right? Because essentially Nestor's going to get this email with this mention. He's going to click it and it's going to bring him directly into this document, just the same way that we're looking at it here. And then we could continue to chat about it, from there. So that's a great one good use of this chat area. What I'm going to do here, I have other profiles in here, and I'm actually going to open up the Deborah profile because Deborah happens to be interested in this federal holidays document as well, and she's going to open it up. I was opening it up in Teams. She's opened hers up in Word. We could certainly open it up in the desktop app, and it would all work the same. So she's in here. She's actually editing it. And now me, the administrator guy here, I'm going to I was just viewing it, but let me go ahead and edit it in Teams. I don't have to leave Teams to edit the document. So I'm now in here, I'm editing it, but look, I actually see Deborah's little bubble head up here to let me know that she's in it as well. So what we're seeing here is co-authoring, multiple people being in a document at the same time, but not just that. We're seeing real-time co-authoring because what I'm noticing, if I go back to Deborah's profile or her session here, is that as she is making these edits to this document, I am seeing them on my side in real time. Okay, so she's off in some other, in her home doing her work. I'm in my home doing mine, but the days of me saying, hey, Deborah, wait till I finish mine, then I'll give you the document to do yours. Those days are over. The days of sending this an email and having separate copies that we got to, work on later, put them together. Those days are over. We can, be in here at the same time, real time co-authoring. And all of that, again, at least for this person who's in Teams, is happening again without having to leave Teams. If I did decide to open this in a desktop app, I get the same experience. If I opened it in the browser, I get the same experience. The magic is really coming from the fact that it's stored in the cloud in SharePoint. So that's what's really making this happen. To that point, you can see again, I can open it in all these different areas. I'll get the same experience. You will see a download button. I always recommend to use that sparingly. When I download it, I'm taking it out of the Magic Cloud area. I'm taking it out of SharePoint. I'm making a local copy. I should not expect my changes to be synced up with the rest of the team. I've got my own local copy that nobody can see. It's like I've taken my ball and I'm going home, right? So, use that when you need it, but, don't use that as a means of working on this file, hoping that your changes will continue to be seen by the rest of the team. You can just open it and edit it in Teams, and everyone else can continue to see it. In fact, the chat that we're having here, if I go ahead and close this out, you'll see that over in the chat area, that document and the chats that I've been having is actually, occurring out in front of everyone. We kind of call this working out loud, right? Where people that have nothing to do maybe with this document are still seeing that people are talking about it, doing something with it. And now maybe if I do have interest, or maybe I have something to add to this, to this whole collaboration, I can, with one click, jump in and be in it as well. So a very transparent way to work that really enables, collaboration. For some, that's not a world they like, because they like to work on their stuff and hold it tight, and then I'll show you when it's perfect. For others that are, kind of, hey, jump into this even while it's in draft mode and help me out, that this will really work well for that. So that's the whole file working concept. You could live your whole life and just work with your files and just in the Files tab, and never have to go to SharePoint to see them. However, SharePoint is the technology that's storing these files. And in fact, if you wanted to look under the hood and see that, you can hit open in SharePoint, and that's going to take you to the underlying site where this is happening. At the end of the day, it's just one library in this site that has a folder for every channel represented in the team. And so that's essentially the structure that it puts together. All the things about SharePoint and about changing permissions on files and folders and whatnot still apply. So you can still use this button to come in and make any SharePoint related changes you want. Be aware though, if you decide to change the permissions on this doc, maybe it's only 2 people can see this, it's going to disappear for most of your team over on the team side. So just kind of be aware of that concept as well. Let me come back. Where did I go? The other reason where these days where you would come in is for a couple of SharePoint specific features that are not yet in Teams. They're coming soon. More of these SharePointy things showing up in Teams today. Not too much shows up here, as you can see, but there is a day when more of these things will show up. One of the things that you may use often that's not there yet is version history. So actually, I'll go to this one. I can come down to version history, and I can see the long running history of all the changes that we have been making on this document. I could look at any particular version. Maybe if this version 3 is really the best one, I could make that restore that as the new version, all that stuff. But this, I don't have ability to see this through Teams, so I do have to hit that open in SharePoint button to see something like this, or to do any stuff with flow or anything like that. So there are some reasons to come here if you want to do a little bit more SharePointy things with the files. But in terms of just viewing and editing and working together on the docs, you can get all of that done in Teams. So that makes it very useful. In terms of I'll call out a couple things. This add cloud storage, really, I don't even think you'll see these other third-party ones, but this lets me actually add links to other SharePoint sites, whether it's other teams that we have access to, or maybe even just another SharePoint online site. That gives you an easy way to kind of add a shortcut to that. You could also do the same thing with tabs and make a separate tab for another document library as well. So you can see the same or similar interface as well. So those are ways I get that question a lot. How do I kind of bring together all the different SharePoint files areas that I'm a part of? Those 2 features might help for that. And then the other thing I'll mention as well is you can see in the Files tab, I've got the new button for your typical Word or Office files, and I've got an upload button, typical upload concept, right? But how else can I upload? The other way to upload, if I come back to the chat area, is to make a new post and to then hit the attach button and just, upload from my computer or something like that, right? And I think, yeah, I knew that one was already there. I'm gonna just hit replace. I had uploaded it earlier. So I can upload it here, and what's nice about this, so if I upload with the other button, I call it a silent upload. I'm uploading it, none of my team knows it's there. And then you have to come out here and tell people, hey, I just uploaded the so-and-so. But with this approach, I might still want to make a comment about it. But with this approach, just by attaching it and hitting that button there, not only have I uploaded it to the files area, but I'm also basically telling the team about it, because this nice thumbnail is right there in the chat area, and any other comments I want to add, including any app mentions. Maybe I wanted somebody specific. Maybe I wanted Nestor to know that this thing got uploaded. So that's an easy way to upload to the files area, as well as kind of telling people that I've uploaded to the files area. So that's just a nice little tip there. But you could certainly do it either way. You could even, if you are doing file syncs, you can see here I'm syncing some of my files. I got those same photos here. I cut, copy, paste, or drag and drop a document here. It is synced and will show up in that same area as well. So several ways to work with files. So that was the quick version of files and meetings in Teams. And again, I apologize for being on mute for I don't know how long. And so as essentially there's a lot of questions in Q&A. I think maybe half of them are to try to tell me that I was on mute. But what I'll do is go ahead and review these and start to continue to answer them either in Q&A and or follow up after the fact. I know we're at time right now. We're actually a minute over. So I will check these out and follow up on any of these that I can, and answer some here as I can as well. But hopefully that is helpful. Between this recording and Monday's recording, you kind of have the general feel of a general overview of Teams. So again, hope that's hopeful. Have some good meetings, and let me know what other help I can provide. Feel free to reach out to your IT group and let me know. Thanks again.